Yeah, little drills. I think things to think about. A lot of people, when taught paddling, we think we're going to set the paddle in the water and we're going to pull it towards us. And if you think in your mind, instead of pulling this paddle to me, I'm pulling myself to that paddle, you have more of an idea of efficiency. So what I try to teach is set the blade and imagine you're putting it in a buoy. And by the time you take that paddle out of the water, that buoy should be at the same spot. So the buoy's here, you put the paddle in, you pull your body to that point, and then you come out. So if you were to pull that paddle farther back from the buoy, then somewhere in there you've lost the efficiency. If you hear noise, usually it's because you haven't sank the blade. It's not a full blade. You pulled a little too fast. You got cavitation around it. The good thing to think about is clean in, quiet out. And then that gets a little tricky because we always emphasize the catch, the catch, the catch. And in reality, when you set the blade in the water and start to move the boat, you then are moving or pulling water that's being disturbed a little bit, is how I look at it. So you want to actually add pressure a little more as you go through the stroke. So at the end of the stroke, you almost have a little more power than you had in the beginning. Does that make sense? So you set the blade and you want to actually accelerate through the stroke a little bit, but without creating cavitation or turbulence. And the real tricky part about that is when you get out on the exit, how do you do it without causing some kind of ruckus in the boat? So there's a couple ways of exit. People go, how do I exit? Well, some clubs teach a flare out to the side. Some clubs teach this. Some clubs teach a pause in the front. Basically, I say, as long as that paddle comes out clean, who cares? Because what's really important is what's happening in the water and how clean your blade's coming out. When you can get your top hand right, your body working together, and everything working right, then we'll talk about the recovery and how pretty it is. But what's really important is the efficiency of what's happening. So just remember, you want to have a little more power on the exit, but without creating this splash. You pull too far down on the top hand, the bottom of the blade comes up, you pull the canoe down. So there's a good indication. Watch your top hand. If your top hand finishes here, obviously this blade is up flat and you're pulling up, pushing the boat down.
Yeah, like Johnny said, when you're taking a stroke, throughout the stroke, you're slowly adding acceleration. And we say accelerate all the way through. People think that means go hard at the start. Well, if you go hard at the start, you're going to get tired and you're going to slow down as you come back. I think of it as the first 4 or 5 inches of my stroke is to make sure I'm connected, my body's lined up, and I actually set the blade. Once I'm set, I'm picking up speed, and you guys notice about halfway through your stroke, your boat kind of builds up momentum and it gets a little bit easier. Well, instead of letting it just be easier, add a little bit more pressure and kind of slowly build speed. If you think of your boat as it's not a race car, it's not a Ferrari, you're not going to go 0 to 60 in one stroke. If you take 4 or 5 strokes to build up speed, it's going to carry longer. And one way a buddy of mine told me was, if you look at the boat, the more time or the longer you take to add power and acceleration to the boat, the longer it's going to take for that acceleration and that glide after your stroke to really die out. And so the power phase is, if you rip the stroke in the first half second that you touch, the boat speed is going to go up while you're taking that stroke, but as soon as you take the paddle out, it's going to die. So if you take a little bit longer to add your body weight, build speed, and add momentum to the boat, the boat will pick up speed and hopefully carry to your next stroke. So if you watch the Tahitians, everyone says, oh, well, there's a Tahitian stroke and a Hawaiian stroke. Well, the Tahitians take more strokes more often because they pull faster and they compensate for the boat dying by putting the paddle back in the water. And everyone says it's inefficient, but if you can do it for 4 hours, if you die at the bar 2 beers into it, then it's no problem.
There's a little tricky part is, Tahitians came over years ago and they won with a fast rate. And everybody went to a high stroke rate. And then Lani Kai came out and they won with a 58. And everybody went to a slow stroke rate. So there's a happy medium and it's kind of what works for you. If you're in good shape and you're doing 20 miles a day and you want to do 80 strokes a minute, go for it. But I think it takes a major amount of conditioning. And you also have to look at, they may be doing a higher stroke rate. Yeah, their stroke's a little shorter. But what they don't do is they don't bend their bottom arm. They're very efficient with their bodies. They don't pull too far back. It's always out easy, so it's always a clean exit. And their timing is flawless. I mean, they came by us, and we looked over and went, they got the crazy eyes, and they're just going for it. But their timing was perfect. I mean, it was very, very impressive. And their conditioning level is so high. So their boat's going faster, the rate's higher, but their boat is moving faster. So stroke rate does have to do with boat speed if you're efficient. If your boat's going slow, you shouldn't have a high rate. The faster your stroke rate gets, the faster your boat should go. So if you're thinking, I want to go fast, I'm going to bring up the rate, slap in the water, it's not really helping you. Think boat speed, then stroke rate. Get the boat speed up to the stroke rate. It's going to be. Don't forget to relax in the air because it's the only time you ever get to rest. You see people paddling like this. Face is tight, shoulders are up. Friends from Sweden who used to come to train K1s with us, they told us, they said, only the muscles that move a boat forward should be used. The rest should be sleeping. So I tell people, pretend to smile, look around, look at the clouds, do something, just relax. You're going to go farther if you can relax while you're